When I was a child, I constantly wondered, how do I get rid of these pests? Now that I'm a gardener and I get along with my siblings, nothing has really changed. I still want to know how to get rid of pests. Welcome back, casual gardeners. Holy crap, is it already part 7 of the frequently asked questions series? In this video, we're answering the question, how do I get rid of pests naturally? You don't have to be an organic gardener to want to control pests naturally. This is for everyone. If we're hosing down our gardens with synthetic pesticides, we're probably also eliminating beneficial insects from our gardeners. And that can not only reduce natural pest control, it also reduces the fertility of the crops we're trying to grow, especially if we collect seeds or eat melons or squash. By the end of this video, you'll know why pests show up in the first place, which natural methods are effective and which are bunk, how to control your pests without harming the beneficial critters, and how to protect your garden long term. Before we get into it, why don't you take a moment and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. If pests are in your garden, they're taking advantage of an opportunity. Most pest problems are caused by stressed plants, monocultures, and imbalanced ecosystems. Stressed out plants send out signals that pests can intercept and zero in on. If you're growing a monoculture, you're basically creating the pest equivalent of a buffet. You're building your own pest golden corral. Imbalanced ecosystems are less likely to contain the natural predators that would control your pests for you. So the key to natural pest control is healthy plants in a healthy ecosystem. When people imagine natural pest control, they're probably imagining a pristine garden without any bugs crawling on the leaves. And they're picturing being able to just reach out and pick their vegetables and eat them without washing them. But that isn't the case. You're going to have a garden full of bugs. Your garden isn't going to be perfect, and you're always going to need to work on stuff. There's always going to be pest damage, even if you do everything perfectly. The goal of natural pest control is to control pests, not to eliminate them. If you eliminate the pests completely, you're also going to eliminate their natural predators because they won't have anything to eat. A garden with natural pest control is a garden where the plants are growing faster than the pests can eat them, not a garden that's completely devoid of pests. Pest prevention is the most powerful tool in a natural pest control toolbox. Grow healthy plants. Focus on proper watering, good soil, and adequate sunlight. A healthy plant is more able to fight off pests on its own with a strong outer covering and lots of energy to produce its own natural pesticides. Pests are less likely to single out a healthy plant because it takes more energy to get past those natural defenses. Diversity is protection. Have you noticed that most pests have tiny little legs? They're tiny little insects, and they benefit from having more food nearby. When we plant big blocks of all the same thing, we're hanging out a sign for a new franchise of the Pest Golden Corral. Interplanting, mixing up what's growing in a bed, makes it more difficult for pests to find more food. It's especially great if you are able to interplant things that have similar growing requirements but are from different families. For example, spinach and lettuce grow well together. They have similar soil and water and sunlight needs, but spinach is from family Amaranthaceae, and lettuce is from family Asteraceae, the sunflower family. So they're probably going to have very different pests that pester them. Timing matters. Planting at the right time can reduce or eliminate pressure from pests. Planting early or late in the season can short-circuit a pest's natural life cycle and prevent a lot of damage. For example, if you're struggling with squash vine borers, those are a struggle, you can put off planting until after the adults have finished laying their eggs. If they don't lay their eggs on your squash, you will not have squash vine borers anymore. Problem solved. You might have to wait longer for your harvest, but at least you get a harvest. Physical control methods are 100% chemical free and they can work in any garden on most pests. They can also be a lot of work. Hand picking. If you're dealing with pests that are large enough to pick up, this is an effective, if time-consuming, pest control method. You can use it to control caterpillars, beetles, slugs, and snails in your garden. Tomato hornworms fluoresce under a blacklight, so they're actually easier to find if you go out in the middle of the night or just when it's dark with a UV bulb. Make sure that as you pick your pests, you are dropping them in soapy water so they are properly unalived and will not come back to haunt you. If you don't have chickens, dump your picked pests in the municipal trash container. If you do have chickens, you don't have to soap them. You can just toss the pests in your chicken run and watch the ensuing fun. Physical barriers. You can cover your beds with row cover or insect netting to exclude a lot of pests. Row cover is engineered to allow light, water, and air to pass through, so you can just leave it in place the whole time your plants are growing until it's time to harvest. You can use plant collars to protect from pests like slugs and cutworms and maggots. Physical barriers only work if you install them before the pests arrive. If you install your physical barrier after the pests are on the wrong side of it, all you've done is trap them with their food source and possibly provided protection from predators, so they're going to go bonkers. If your garden patch is infested, but you want to use physical barriers, it's probably time to rotate your crops. Hopefully you have multiple beds. Move your crop that is affected by the pests to a new bed, and then install your physical barrier. Lastly, water spray is a physical control method. Tiny pests like aphids, whiteflies, and mites they're tiny. If you knock them off your plant, there's a pretty good chance they're going to starve before they find food again. Make sure if you're hitting your plants with a jet of water that you're hitting the undersides of the leaves, because all of these pests will hang out under the leaves. This protects them from scorching sun, from falling rain, and from their predators. Unfortunately, it can also protect them from your hose. It usually requires multiple hose downs to get your aphids or whiteflies or mites under control. I did a video like a year and a half ago about garden guardians, the critters that make our lives better as gardeners. You should check it out. I'll think about trying to remember to link to that at the end of this video. Beneficial insects include ladybugs, lacewings, ground beetles, and parasitic wasps. You can attract beneficial insects to your garden by just making it prettier and more attractive to everyone, including yourself. Plant flowers. The adult life stages of many of these beneficial insects actually like to eat a little nectar. Most of them are especially fond of umbel-shaped flowers like Queen Anne's lace or yarrow or dill. Flowers that are that shape. Other flowers that are the same shape can include onions, garlic, and coriander. Avoid broad-spectrum pesticides. Provide water dishes that are filled with pebbles or sand so that they can go there and get a drink of water. And also use mulch in your garden. That creates a lot of areas for, yeah, pests will hide in there, but predators will hide in that too. Sometimes you've just got to spray. Here are some natural options. Insecticidal soap is designed to harm the pests and not so much the plant. If you're going to use soap, use insecticidal soap, because a lot of our household detergents will actually strip the waxy cuticle off the leaves of the plants as well, and then the plant suffers. Mostly insecticidal soaps are going to be effective on soft body insects like squash bugs and aphids. They do have to make contact with the insect in order to be effective. Because this is a contact pesticide, it is unlikely to harm beneficial insects unless those beneficials are present on the plant when you hose it down. You can use neem oil. This chrysanthemum extract disrupts an insect's life cycle. It works best if it's applied preventatively. It can be harmful to beneficial insects as well if it's overused. You can use diatomaceous earth. That's more of a than a spray, but it's scattered. Let's count it. Diatomaceous earth is made of the glassy skeletons of a type of algae called a diatom. These are ancient diatoms that have been, unalive for centuries or millennia, and their shells are all shattered and pokey. It's primarily effective on jointed insects, like, all the insects. It's not going to be as effective on like earthworms and stuff. Diatomaceous earth is only effective as long as it's dry. Once it gets wet, you're going to have to reapply it. Essential oil mixes and like garlic oil sprays and pepper sprays are not going to be super effective. Your garden will smell nice. So capsaicin, like in a pepper spray, is effective against insects. It messes with their life cycle as well. The problem with capsaicin is that it's not water soluble, like hardly at all. And so it's really hard to do a DIY pepper spray that is going to have enough capsaicin applied evenly enough to be effective. When we see those first few pests show up, our initial response is to freak out and hit them with everything we've got. But if our gardens are healthy and we've done all the preventative things we're supposed to do, sometimes it's just best to watch and wait. Pest populations can crash out naturally. Plants can recover faster than we expect. Sometimes the predators arrive a few days or a few weeks after the pests. Natural pest control isn't about perfection. It's about finding balance. Let me know what your favorite natural pest control methods are down in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, okay? The next video in the Garden Facts series is going to be about what to do if your plants don't flower or set fruit. Thank you so much for joining me here in my garden today, and I hope you have a wonderful time in your own.